Jordan, Courtney, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, mate. You're right.
Good, how are you boys?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Yeah, sound.
Yeah, we're all good, mate. Yeah.
Not fed up with lockdown yet?
Oh, I'm well overdue for it to end. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like restrictions are sort of they're softening now, aren't they? Things are being lifted, and I think even prior to that, I think people were just like making their own minds up and going, "Do you know what? We're done."
Yeah.
British people, we're quite stubborn.
No, we are.
We don't listen.
I've been told what to do.
Well, do you know what? In Italy, places like that, they could not go out. And if it was like one person could go out to the shop to get like essential bits, and they had to have a permit and all that kind of stuff. So we've been a little bit soft, and I can kind of see why some of these figures have been the way they have. But
yeah,
Jordan's yawning already, man.
It's long.
I'll just introduce you guys then. So Courtney Hayden, you're Jordan's dad. We had Dwaine on episode 2, who's Courtney's brother. Dwaine was only on the audio podcast because he's got a face for the radio, and we've got the good-looking guys we've got the good-looking side of the Haydens on.
You know it.
I'm only joking, Dwaine, man. I know he's going to watch
it. Yeah, you know he's going to be listening.
You're a good-looking guy.
Just reverse back.
Yeah.
So you're a talented family, because obviously Dwaine was on The Voice 2016. And prior to that, he's done quite a lot of stuff in the singing. And I went to one of the X Factor auditions with him, and he's done stuff with Usher, Jay-Z. He's met Prince Charles. Great sort of career so far. And I know he's happy now and sort of settled into doing like the wedding singing and stuff like that. And that's funny because when we did The Voice, when Dwaine was on The Voice, we all went with him, and it's mad now. I mean, that was 2016. Looking at you, Jordan, 4 years ago, you're just like this little puffy fella, chubby cheeks, and yeah. I've watched the video recently because I posted it. On the Instagram page of when Dwaine got through and the chairs turned and then it panned to us guys. And I'm like actually leaning on you, like over your shoulder, and it's funny, but I bet now you stand up taller than me.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, as they're looking at that now, what do you think to see in Jordan now? Because I suppose this is the first time you've kind of seen him since we did see the show. Is. Like I said, he was, because that's kind of not long after that is when he got into his career, his journey, which is going to talk about in a minute. But it's a big difference, isn't it?
Definitely. Like if I could put the picture up alongside now, it's mad. Yeah, but just a kid. And like you're looking, you're a man now. So picking up on that. So what happened there is that you got into boxing, or did you have like a conscious thing where you thought to yourself like, oh, I need to start training or whatever? Because I mean, it's not rude of me to say that you're a little bit chubby.
Yeah, no. It's actually an understatement to say I was chubby. I was pretty much.
My mum would call it Bonnie. I know you're northern. But
yeah. But from that point, my stepdad just got into. He did white collar boxing, and he won his first fight. So my dad actually asked if I could go down to Ryan. It was his trainer, to his gym to train. So from that point, I just started training. I started obviously feeling a bit more confident about myself. Boxing, bit of sparring, it's just like learning how to handle yourself. So then, I didn't notice it for a good year or a half that I was starting to lose weight. Obviously, you don't when you're daily seeing yourself, but over the period of time, I started to lose weight. I started to get a little bit of muscle, and it's got to a point where I actually could take my top off and feel comfortable around, around other people. Because a lot of my friends are athletes, football and stuff like that. So a lot of them, always take the tops off in summer and stuff like that. I wanted to be like that. Yeah. So when obviously the boxing journey started, I weren't planning to go anywhere with it. It was just training to keep fit. And then Mark, who's one of Ryan's his partners. He asked me if I wanted to, if I was interested in doing amateurs. So obviously at the time I was a bit reluctant. I was like, oh, do I want to fight? So I started amateur training, and after a few months I thought, it's something I'm proper good at, and I could potentially make a career out of it. And from that point, it's just been going up and up and up. And I've got fitter, I've got bigger, stronger. I kind of feel like I can handle myself pretty much against anybody now. I mean, it's not me trying to be cocky, but I mean, I've had 4 years of boxing experience. I've sparred countless rounds of people, and up to now, I probably would have fought in March and April, potentially May. Obviously, if the coronavirus stuff wouldn't have happened, it's a drawback, but it's just self-reflection. And now I know what I need to do when I go back to training is work harder. So now I'm not waiting for fights. I'm ready for them. So.
Yeah, because it's one of them things. The amateur careers, it's very fast-paced. You know what I mean? It's not like when you watch boxers and they'll fight every 6 months or something when they're pro or when they go up to a certain level. But with amateur, it's like fight. You know, getting those rounds and getting that experience and stuff. So, you know, but you know, I suppose one of them. It's like all of us. We're in lockdown and we've all had plans that have been scuppered. But all you can do is, I suppose, use this time as positive as possible, which is, you know, one of the things I've done with this podcast, for instance. I know a lot of other people have got personal trainers, friends that are personal trainers, and they have used it really positively to sort of think about how they're going to move forward when they come out of lockdown, how they can be a little bit more creative. I had a swimmer on the show. She does a lot of CrossFit now, and she's been sort of building her website, and so many different positives that people have taken. I think if you can come out of it, if you can actually sit back and reflect on it, and I think count your blessings a little bit, because you go, when we come out of this, it's like, oh, we took it also, you know, for granted so much. Yeah. So when we come out, it's like, all right, now we know that it can be taken away from us so easily. So let's not take it for granted so much. Let's really. So when you go back out and you start doing your boxing again, you know how much you want it, because when it's taken away from you, it's not nice.
All I know is when the gym's back up and it's time to work, like it's time to get down grinding, because obviously I might not be fighting until next year, but now I know I've got an incentive to be as fit as possible. Like I'll only be fighting for 6 minutes, 3 2-minute rounds. It's not a long time. I probably would have been fit enough to do that. Now I know when I go back into the gym in hopefully 2-3 months' time, when it comes to fighting, maybe a year less than that, that I'm gonna be more than ready. I'm gonna be sparring rounds and rounds and rounds. I'm gonna be ready, and it's KO season. That's what it is. That's KO season.
You did the fitness, and I mean, during COVID, I did say to Jay, you know, keep training. And then I heard about Ronaldo yesterday.
Yeah.
Going back to training, and he turned up 4 hours at Juventus.
Yeah.
And he was fitter yesterday than when they broke up for COVID. That's how much of a machine. So he's a different animal. He's an alien.
Yeah,
he'll be playing till he's 45.
Yeah.
To watch him though, you know, it's like you said though. He knows and he understands the dedication involved and how committed he has to be. And you know, it's like you take one day off, and then you might go, all right, I'm going to take the next day off, and then before you know it, like you start fall out of it.
Yeah, I ring Jay every day. You know, pretty much every day, and I'm like this morning. What did I ask you? I'm telling him, I've asked him what he's done. You know, give me an update. You know, every day is vital. You know, what have you done? You know, I'll say set this time out, work, organize yourself. You know, this is what it's about. Don't just. I shouldn't be ringing you up and I'm doing nothing. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
Jay's there lying in bed watching Netflix with a tub of ice cream, like, yeah, Dad, I've done 10 miles this morning.
He just ignores the phone. When I know when he don't answer, I know Dad's sleeping, or he just don't want the stress.
So, I mean,
your dad does talk about you a lot though, because like last time I seen you, you was talking about him, and he was saying that you're a big puncher, and he was telling me that, you know, when you're hitting the pads and the things that you're doing is you know, you sound really impressive. You showed me a couple of videos as well, so I liked it. You know, you're still young, you still got a lot to learn, but you know, it's all part of that process. You know,
I mean,
to be fair, when I showed Richard the video, Richard was giving me points to tell you, and I think I told you. I think you were saying something about the leg move or something like that. I think you were saying, weren't you?
I probably had a couple of beers there. I wouldn't take too much. Listen to your coach, man. Don't listen to me. I'm terrible. I've done some boxing, but I got hit too many times. So you can't listen to me.
It's all good,
I am a decent analyst, though. I'll give you that because I watch a hell of a lot of boxing. I watch UFC, and actually there's a lot of differences in there. But some of the things that you can see, I think if you could do, you could like make use of, for instance, like Conor McGregor's angles and stuff like that he cuts, and some of the weird. There's some very strange movement in UFC compared to boxing. It's a totally different sport, and like. When a lot of people talk about Conor McGregor getting beat by Mayweather and stuff like that, it was like obvious that was going to happen. But do you know what? He was in there for 10 rounds with him, and that one uppercut they hit him with. You try and land one uppercut on Mayweather. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, no.
It's because he caught him. It was earlier. We caught him with some angles that he's never seen before. Stuff like that. I think if you can change the game up a little bit, because everybody's training the same way. If you can take, and I know you did a bit of kickboxing as well, right?
Yeah.
So you'll know about the difference in your stances and stuff.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying now. Obviously, Ryan Rhodes. Obviously, he was a boxer. He was pretty much the same orthodox as he was southpaw. Orthodox and southpaw is obviously orthodox is your left hand forward and your right hand's like your power hand. Southpaw is obviously the other way. Ryan could do both, and it'd be exactly the same skill set in both. And he trained obviously with Prince Nassim, just to purely to be as much accurate in southpaw as he was orthodox, and that's what I'm trying to do now.
And to be unpredictable, because if you're getting because that's the thing with boxing is like what's happening all the time is like the opponent is trying to work that person out and find that rhythm and then, catch them in between the beats and stuff. And then obviously if you all of a sudden change your stance and your style, and it's like, just figured that out. And now he's doing something different. And you're constantly keeping them guessing. Yeah.
In the Conor McGregor last fight, did you see the introduction of the shoulder move that he brought in?
Yeah.
This guy did not know what was going on. He just after 3 seconds, he'd cracked his nose. He didn't. Just dropping this up shoulder. So it's manipulating the rules, isn't it? Catching people off guard, the unexpected.
The best example.
People getting those clinches. People getting Thai clinches a lot of the time, and then. He probably, because Conor McGregor's a smart guy. He probably realised at the time, because Cowboy, he's from a Muay Thai background, so clinching is a big thing. So he'd have been expecting a clinch at some point. Straight away there, and it's the way he changed levels with it. He didn't just. It wasn't one of them. He changed levels. He brought it up, and three of them shots. One of the things that a lot of people miss, I think, in that exchange as well, I think he caught him with a knee as well, coming out of that clinch. The right to the temple. I mean, you'll know Jordan to get hit on the temple. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, there's better fights for him out there. Cowboy's getting old now. I think he's lost about 4 on the bounce because he lost since then. To be fair to him, I don't think he should have lost against Pettis. It was a very close fight, but I had him down as winning that 2-1. But it went a split decision to Pettis. Either way. Cowboy.
I think the guy
tough guy, but he's just not elite, and he's never proven himself on the big stage. So every time he's got to a title fight or something like that, it's just like nerves or something. It gets the better of him.
Yeah, he's had a lot of fights though, Cowboy. He's been around for.
He's had the most fights. He's
ridiculous.
He's had the most wins in the UFC history. Like that, but it's. It's age and his chin. He's a bit chinny now as well. He's been knocked out enough times, and that starts to go after a while.
You can't keep getting battered like that. Your knees to the
your punch resistance goes around time. And the thing with Conor McGregor as well is for that camp, he was so dedicated because you could hear it in his voice how dedicated he was, training every day, twice a day. And then when it come to the night, it was evident. He looked fitter than he'd ever been before. Obviously, the 175-pound division. Not having to do a weight clause might have helped a little bit. He weren't drained. He weren't having to.
It helped against someone like Cowboy because Cowboy's not really a natural 175er. So if if you were talking about fighting somebody like Kamaru Usman, what they're talking about. Well, Khabib's 155 anyway. You're talking about the 175 division. You're talking about like Usman. I mean, Masvidal might not be too bad. I mean, Masvidal's a very technical, very good fighter, but I'm talking about as in weight. You look at Kamaru Usman. I can guarantee that guy walks around at 200 pounds easy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's massive. When he cuts, he's still huge. He's ripped to shreds. There's been talk about him fighting him. I can't really see that happening.
See, in my opinion, I think if the same dedication that McGregor had for that fight he has for anybody else, it poses a tough night for anybody. Masvidal is probably one of the, if he fights Masvidal, that'll be one of the most legendary fights in UFC history.
Yeah. For me, that's got to happen. He can't keep chasing the Khabib fight now, especially after Justin Gage has just done what he's done to Tony Ferguson because he got beat down on Ferguson. And Ferguson is a monster. So
I think McGregor
can't stand in between that. Yeah. I always thought that until I seen what he did against Ferguson. I was very impressed, and I listened to a lot of the stuff he does. It would be a very good fight, and it would be very technical. It would be all about first to the point. But you've got to remember that Gage's got those leg kicks as well. He's got that wrestling background, and Conor's really just a striker. So what it is about Gage is he is so well-rounded now. He is so well-rounded that, and I'm not saying Conor's bad at, people underestimate what Conor can do as a wrestler, as his jiu-jitsu, because all you do see is his striking. But it's a tough fight for anyone. If he turns up like he turned up against Tony there, boy, he's got trouble.
What happened with Conor as well with the UFC? He kind of got, no one's bigger than the sport, but he literally got on even pars with the sport before they're sold. So before they're sold out, but
there's not, he's a phenom. There's not a lot of people around.
He's a global suit. He opened it up to the whole new world. So again, the money and things like that. But what he's done, you can't deny. His character, his personality, he's changed.
Yeah, he's undeniable.
Oh yeah,
you can't take any of that away from him. It doesn't matter what happens to him from now. I think he's just making more smart choices. He says that he wants to win the title and stuff, and I do believe it. But at the same time, he's about making money. He's a businessman now. The guy doesn't have to fight.
He's got whiskey, hasn't
he? He could hang his gloves up.
Oh yeah. He's making nearly 850 million a year on clothing and whiskey. That's just from that. No UFC fights. He's set to be the UFC's first billionaire, and he's probably set to make more money than Floyd Mayweather is, because he's getting 750 million a year from his whiskey business, between 50 to 150 million. Obviously, it's quite a broad range, but he's still making minimum 50 million a year on his clothing,
sponsorship,
fighting. And I just want to go back to the point about obviously saying in fighting Justin Gaethje. I think Conor would beat him, in my opinion. Obviously, he'd have to shock him in the first round. Obviously, he's a fast finisher, isn't he? He finishes
the problem with Conor is, Conor comes out and blocks quick, right? And that's how he's going to get you. That's how he beat Cowboy. So if he's going to fight 5 rounds against Gaethje, we've seen how Gaethje went 5 rounds against Tony. He's got that time. He's got 25 minutes where he can just go.
Yeah.
Conor don't have that.
It's a genetic thing.
2.5 rounds, man. I tell you, if he don't get you out in there, he's going to start struggling. And especially if you've got somebody who's going to pressure you like Gaethje.
Yeah,
that's a worry. You've seen it in the Nate Diaz fight.
So pretty much it's going to be Gaethje, Khabib, the winner fights Conor.
And it's like what Jordan was about to say. It's about genetics. It's about the fast twitch muscle fiber.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the people that go out and they've got that knockout power. They've got that quick sort of coming off the blocks and winning those fights. But that starts to go after a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
you've got the likes of Nate Diaz, the way he can fight and the way he continues to fight is because he does triathlons and stuff like that. He's built that way. He can go and go and go. And on top of that, just as a bonus, he's got a granite chin. So he weathered the storm with McGregor in that first fight. He weathered that storm that came at him, and then he tired him out, and then he knew, you know what I mean? Like, oh, now what are you going to do? Like, I'm coming at you. I'm hitting you, and he's not knocking him out, but he knew at some point he'd get him down. He's got the jiu-jitsu, so
yeah.
So I mean, that's it.
You've got to give a big up to Dana. I like what he's done with the sport. And to be fair, going over to what we've got over here with Eddie Hearn as well, he's kind of mimicked a lot of what Dana's doing. It's a good business model. The way they've set certain things up around getting to know the fighters a little bit more. Like on UFC, you'll have the embed, the fighters. And I think that's what we're trying to get from these new promoters like Eddie. Unfortunately, you still got the old dinosaurs knocking about that, your Franks and your Bobs and them guys that don't want to go that way. Do you know what I mean? But, you watch these videos of like Eddie and Dana, like you said, the COVID, what they've done is not stop. They've gone out
exactly,
there.
I mean,
Dana's trying to get islands. You've got Eddie Hearn doing fights in his garden. You know, this is what it's
This
all
is
about.
what I've heard recently, but I've not looked into this because actually the last podcast I did, which went up to YouTube, it's the first one I've done. We were talking about this, about Eddie Hearn about putting on some sort of fights in his garden or something.
Yeah, he's already put the plan together, so they're looking to do around end of the month, and they're looking to do the Fight Island at the end of the month as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, I respect Dana White for his like true Geordie. He said it best. He said he's doing what nobody else is doing, and realistically, he's going out of his way, and he's making sure the fighters are checked obviously for the virus, but he's going out of his way to provide entertainment in a time where we need it most.
And he'll probably lose.
There is that. But, you know, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of money he's going to make as well. If he don't put on the fights, he's not making money. So
exactly.
And a lot of people said
the pay-per-view, but what will happen is they will get the loyalty of the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They will actually get more support because they're the only ones that are going to be doing just, you know, putting that stuff out. So then, you know, you can't. When it comes to boxing and fighting, loyalties are massive.
Yeah.
Literally,
you've got to have the people there. I mean, I think actually more than anything, it's one of those things that's going to force people more into because it's like, oh, there's nothing else on. The basketball's not on. The baseball's not on.
Yeah,
NFL, NHL, all that stuff. That, I'm talking in America, but over here, you know, it's probably just as big. We love the fighting in Britain.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we love it.
With not having these other sports available to watch, it's like, oh yeah, we'll get anything we can get our hands on. And I've watched every card they've put on since lockdown. Watch them all, man.
I've been watching old fights.
Watched Woodley get beat, and I had a feeling that was going to happen as well. I felt like he might have lost a step, and Gilbert Burns put it on him and put a clinic on him. I think that one of the things that I always worry about is when fighters start going into other stuff. Woodley was doing rapping and stuff like that, and obviously it's like the same when Conor went off for a bit and he was doing his whiskey, he came back in first fight against Khabib. Like, if you're going to do stuff like that, it's taking a lot of what you. I always think is that you've got that young, hungry guy who's coming up behind you. Like you're off doing like, you're promoting your whiskey or you're at a distillery or you're going through and doing your taste tests and you've got all your head in the clouds with other things like your August McGregor line of suits, that kind of thing. Tyron Woodley's off hanging around with all these hip hop guys doing rapping on certain, and I'm like, while you're doing all that, you know, this young hungry cat is still training and he's still thinking, I'm gonna take that guy's belt.
There's only a certain few people that can.
It's just like the whole Ronaldo thing. He never slipped once. Going back to that, what you were saying.
It's about the equilibrium. You're like balance. You know, it's like Joshua, isn't it? You know, the demands that Joshua must have on his back on promotion and to keep his. And you saw it a little bit with the Ruiz and the Miller. The Miller thing and the Ruiz. You saw it a little bit, the fame. You know, and what he done is he went straight back to the roots again, didn't he? Stripped all down, and then you saw it, and I think that's where you will see a better Joshua in the future.
We'll never get a Joshua now that we're like Joshua Ruiz won. He knows now.
No, he's not.
That's going to happen if he don't dedicate himself.
Yeah, I
think that's got to happen. Look, there's too much pressure on people to be undefeated. It's a good thing to lose the fight. It teaches you a lot. Do you know what I mean? And it makes you a little bit more aware that I'm not indestructible.
Yeah. Especially when you're 6'6". And he's 240 pounds.
Yeah, getting that big and getting put down and having to get up, you know, it's embarrassing, isn't it? But, you know.
We've all seen it at school. You must have seen the guy at school who thought it was bad and he got put down by the little fat guy or something.
Yeah.
They're mad.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like, it's one of them things, is like, all of a sudden, that guy's humbled.
Yeah.
You know, and for AJ, that was a good thing, I think.
Yeah, when you saw Joshua lose, no excuses, none of that. And then Deontay Wilder loses, and then you hear 10 different excuses. Yeah. Even now, still not coming out and saying, you know, this is what I, you know, just because
it's accountability.
How do you learn from that? You know, how do you learn if you don't accept? You know?
It's tough for some guys though. Do you know what I mean? They talk a good game. They talk so much going into the fight, and he said the problem with Deontay Wilder is he didn't change anything. He looked worse if anything else. Like, you know what? Fury goes, actually, I'm going to come forward now. I'm going to put it on him. And he went back.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion,
do you know when Fury figured that out? He figured it out in the last round of the first fight. because when he got dropped, he put it on him, and he only realised actually by putting it on him, I'm going to push him back. So they just adopted that program with the Conk Gym for the next fight, and you saw what happened. He just did it. He couldn't do nothing, could he? He was just he got battered literally.
It's funny as well because like, a lot of people are like, oh, he changed his trainer. Tyson Fury's a clever guy, man. He knew what he needed to do. He knew that Ben Davis wasn't the trainer to win that fight, or at least not win it convincingly the way he did. When he said he was going to go out there and put Deontay away, and everybody's like, whatever, you don't knock nobody out. But you know what? I spoke to Clive Ferrin a couple of years ago. We was talking about the first fight. Before the first fight, and was kind of breaking it down. And he told me then, he went, don't be fooled. Tyson Fury can put your lights out. He's like, do not be fooled. He's like, a lot of people know that the way he is, the way he dances around the ring, this and that. He's seen him. Obviously, Clifton Mitchell used to train him. Yeah. He was there, he was there when he beat Klitschko and stuff. And he told me then, he said, I have never seen somebody jab like that. He jabs like a lot of people are throwing a right hand.
I hope
it's like the power.
Yeah.
Hear it hit that pad. And he said, don't be fooled. He has got the power to put Deontay out. And that was just before the first fight. But obviously, them tactics weren't there. And in the end, look, we've seen it. It's
great, going to be. It's a great fight.
Imagine if Wilder had the dedication to become the best in the world. Do you know? In my opinion, if he went away, obviously it might be a bit too old now to go away and restart it all. But
no, it's too late now. Dillian will batter him.
I don't. In that fight, it's whoever lands first. But if Wilder went away and did his training and stuff like that, and if he could turn the clock back 10 years, went back, trained, learned everything about the boxing, learned everything, it'd probably be one of the best ever.
But no, regardless of all that, he's got power in his hands and everything. But looking past all that,
you're knocking 30, 40 guys out with one punch that are on your level, when it's time to step up, because to be fair,
I was looking at that myself, and I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
but look, Lewis sort of teases that. He's a very, very technical boxer. He grew up boxing at 79. But it don't matter. It's Cuban.
It's still not
But if we've got the technique to dodge him. But at the same time, he put Brazil out. Brazil's no pussy either. But do you know what? Regardless of all this, not even about like making history. Being, he's no Mike Tyson or anything like that. He's not Lennox Lewis. He had a great punch and he can put people out with that one punch. He had that power in his hands. But do you know what I respect about him? He got into boxing at a late age. He went through the Olympic route where going that route there is not something like, Jordan, there's no money in that. People don't get paid for doing that. I think they might get a little bit now, but I think in America at that time, they don't get paid for that. He did it the hard way. And do you know what he did all of this for? Was for his daughter, man. And do you know what? You've got to take your hat off him for that. No, and I don't care all that shit that he talks.
I can respect him as a boxer and being in the ring. And obviously, it's all right saying he's 40 people. They might be rubbish, but he still knocks 40 men out in a row consistently. Even Mike Tyson can't say he's knocked 40 people out in a row consistently. It's just an accomplishment.
But you know what as well is, you have to respect, a lot of people get into boxing for different reasons. I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and she was saying, what do you think about your son going in the ring and fighting? Yeah. How do I feel about it? And I was like, yeah, it's tough, but I said, well, I've seen Jay develop from, just because before The Voice, remember he was about 7, he had scarlet fever.
Yeah.
He had so scarlet fever, if you research that, you know what it's all about. So from that to where he is now, and then to go in, even sparring, you see it and you get anxious, but to go in the ring, you have to, put your hats on. But what you were saying is that how do you feel about seeing your son fighting? But I said, what I've seen is that the benefits of you starting boxing and where you are now, setting up a business, all this thing that we'll probably talk about in a bit, I think that boxing has helped you do that.
Yeah.
Keep focus on the game. So it's like a catch-22. But, I used to do Thai boxing when I was younger, so I'm all right with it. But obviously, if you were rubbish, you'll be like, nah, Jay, we maybe.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying as well, because a lot of boxers get into boxing for a reason. They fall into it because, and especially in some of the rough parts of America, but same over here, is because they know that if they didn't find boxing, if they didn't fall into a boxing gym, they were going to either end up dead or in prison. You know.
And Jordan will have options because you'll have a business.
Jordan's got options, and it's kind of like I always thought that about Chris Eubank Jr. and I always thought like, does he have that same mentality? Does he have that same fire in his belly as somebody who's come up from nothing? You know, somebody who's, I mean, I'm not talking about Jordan in this way, but you know, he's set. You know, you've still got work to do. Even if you don't do the boxing and stuff and you don't make it pro, or whatever, you still got work. You know, you're not growing up from a bad background.
No,
you know, you've got
not
parents,
all.
But you've got options. But I mean, like the likes of Chris Eubank Jr. Guaranteed he could have been looked after pretty well by his dad. He didn't have to go and do the kind of jobs that
he wanted to fight, didn't he? Yeah.
But he chose that route.
Yeah. I mean, and like everybody gives Chris Eubank Jr. a bit of shit and stuff, but at the end of the day, when do you ever see Chris Eubank Jr. unfit? You don't see it on his social media. You never ever see him unfit. He's always training. He's always fit. He might not be
Texas now with Roy Jones, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen him training with Roy Jones.
Yeah,
best
so
I've ever seen
Jones has become his new coach and trainer, the new trainer, isn't he? Cornerman and everything, isn't it?
That's what he needs to find. I think one of the bad things is having his dad there.
Yeah.
His dad's advice.
It's too much of that. It's too much of that.
You know, like if you see Nigel Benn with Conor Benn, it's totally different.
I mean, even that relationship, like Nigel Benn with his son, he knows that it's business. Boxing is business. It's not something you can be like, oh, it's the art of warrior. It is, but you've got to get down. You've got to get dirty.
Too many distractions with Chris Eubank. Now he's talking to the refs. He's there at the press conferences. He's taking the limelight, and he's, you know, like as much as Junior looks quite comfortable with it and quite relaxed, there's got to be something chipping away. Like, Dad just should have.
I think they know.
We all have a time in our lives where we're like, Mom, Dad, just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? We all have that time, whether, you know, in any situation where you're going, oh, you need to be quiet. You know,
have you had that time yet, Jordan?
Try to be cool.
No comment.
You could have said your mum. Then your dad's on the call.
Yeah. Everybody has it at some point, you know.
Of course. But, you know, it's one of them things, and it's like, you know, mum and dad aren't cool.
I think
you're talking like things that you don't want them to be saying, and you're like, just ground swallow me up.
It means they care, though. It's
exactly.
You know, if they weren't paying you,
I'd much rather him talk to me than ignore me.
But that's cool when it's in front of millions of people in live press conference. And
that's true.
In front of you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit embarrassing. I think people lose a little bit of respect there, you know, because they want to hear from the guy. They don't want to hear from the guy's dad. Yeah,
I mean, if Eubank obviously is a warrior in it, he likes to get in dirty. He likes to get in dirty, fight people. That's his fight. He's fit. He's fit enough to do it for 12 rounds. There's not many people that can stand there for 12 rounds, trading hands, and still be at the end and be like, hot, not even out of breath. Chris Eubank's one of them.
He's so fit.
Exactly.
He can take a punch.
And he worked. Didn't he come up in America? He was doing stuff at the Mayweather's gym and stuff.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
But the thing is, this is what's good as well. What I like is that he's not undefeated now. He's had a couple of losses and things. You know. But you know, when he went up against George Groves, I knew that that was a tough fight for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great technical boxer. I mean, when you think of what he did against Froch. You know, nobody expected that, man. He put Froch on his ass, and you know, even though in the end he lost, but he was a more inexperienced fighter then than he was when he came against Chris Eubank, and it was the same kind of thing. It was a bit like when Groves went against Froch, Eubank going against Groves. I mean, it's all timing, but it's a good thing to get those out of the way. You know, he lost against Billy Joe, but I think now that could be a different fight as well.
But then he won. Then he got the belt in the end.
Them two should, if they carry on the right track, them two should meet again.
Have you heard about Billy Joe? What he did with
Where's he gone?
We lost him. Hopefully, I'll reconnect anyway.
Yeah.
Quick. And he's young. He's young. Look, he knows that.
He knows it.
If that was you, Courtney, would have been waiting half an hour.
He'd be gone, mate. That'd be it for me. I'd be done off to bed.
Yeah. I was saying, you see the video of him saying about if your wife comes at you? That video.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
I mean, He shouldn't have done it because he's in a position now. He was going to fight Canelo. He was in a position of power, realistically. He was going to get paid, win or lost. He was going to get paid millions of pounds. And that would just not.
It's a tough one, man, because Billy Joe's a joker and he's always been like that.
Exactly,
so like,
yeah.
Courtney's frozen up now. But yeah, Billy Joe, he is a joker, and that's kind of his personality. And I get it. I get that he didn't mean it the way he said it, but it was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah,
because domestic abuse and all that is a serious matter.
It's not a joke. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it might be funny to people, but it's not a joke. And especially when you're about to get the biggest payday or the biggest opportunity of your life, that just ruins everything. It's like the same thing with Miller that happened with Joshua with the drugs and stuff like that. He was about to get paid millions. Probably would have lost to Joshua in my opinion. But I
think he would have done. But then, maybe done Joshua a favour there.
Maybe, yeah.
So, Courtney, you look a bit lost. Are you all right? You dropped straight out after. I think your mic's muted. Unmute your mic. So, I was going to pick up on Courtney, what he does and stuff like that as well. But do you know what? Something really pressing. I mean, I know we love talking about the fights and everything else.
Yeah.
And I said this to you guys before we came on. I said it'd be rude for me, and we was going to actually have Dwaine on this chat, but he's off recording. So fair play to him, because I know he wants to get back into that. He's been locked down and he's not been able to do any of his music, and a lot of his stuff's been cancelled recently. But it would have been, I said before, I was like, it would be wrong of me to have 3 black males on this podcast and that we do not talk about Black Lives Matter and the movement that was going on at the minute, after the horrific video that we all seen of what went on in America. It's George Floyd. Am I right? I don't want to get the guy's name wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was horrible. I mean, my missus, because it was going around everywhere. And it was like, it's one of them things, my missus was like, I can't watch it. I just can't watch it. People are posting it everywhere. And I was like, yeah, it's not nice to see, but it's reality and it's happened. Exactly. And you know what? Sometimes you need to see that shit and let have those feelings about it, because it's fucking horrible. It's a serious thing that people don't do that to a dog, to treat a human life in that way. And it was the guy's telling him he couldn't breathe and all that kind of stuff. We don't have to go over the whole video, but what I wanted to talk about was, you guys as black males, how do you feel about this, and what are your takeaways, and what do you feel that needs to be done to stop this stuff happening? And I know it's not so prominent in the UK. Yeah. It seems to be happening a lot, but it is still there. There's definitely still racism going on all over the world.
Yeah.
I just want to get your guys' take on it. It'd be something that been.
Yeah, I'll let Dad speak about it first. Let him, because I'll probably be talking for quite a while.
Now how he's found out how to unmute his mic and get his video back on.
I can't see you lot, but I can hear you. So I'll give my point and then I'll log off and then come back on and see if it will. Just going on from what you said, Richard. To be fair, this one has been really hard for me because I've been seeing it going on for years and years. Going back to Rodney King, and how long ago was that? And then this, police brutality and police corruption over in the States is it's terrible, and the fact that it's not been sorted out yet is it's embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, even if you look at something that I really love, like football, racism's still going on in football. Do you know what I mean? You go to Millwall, and I was listening to Bognahor from Aston Villa, probably pronounced his surname wrong.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But he call him Gabby Abbey.
Gabby. So he was talking about when he went to Millwall for the first time at 21, and people younger than him just abusing you. So it's what's going on now is it's a combination of frustration over the years. So I mean, I don't agree with the looting and things like that, but what you will get with any protest in the daytimes, you'll get your protesters, and then you'll get your thugs that will mix into the evenings that will cause trouble. But we've got to focus on the protest and the positive and trying to get the word out there. And it's the higher ups that are caused, that have the power to change this. And what you have to to create change is diversity in that within that organization. And without that, and I look at that organization and I look at the FA, PFA, whatever, you know, how many black people are on the board in the PFA and the FA?
Yeah.
None. How many black referees in the Premier League?
Minimum.
Rich, did you see any last year?
No, honestly,
that's what I'm trying to say. You know, so it's got to kind of start from the top. But what this is just people have had enough. You know, let's just get it on, and you know, this is what it's about. People are trying to speak up. So, you know, I'm all behind it. You know, So Jay, you want to jump in now? Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
Get back on you guys.
I've got a few points I want to touch on about it, but for me, obviously being young, 16, and obviously I'm more vulnerable to attacks than most. Obviously, well, pretty much everybody who's different colour, white.
Yeah, I think at your age now, it's easy as well, like social media and stuff like that. It's easy for people to hide behind a phone and put racism out, even just to bullying. Not even on talking about racism, but just bullying, stuff like that. That seems to be rife. So I could imagine racist activity going on where somebody could just have a fake profile, fake picture, any of that stuff, and it's easy then, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can imagine that being tough at your age now.
Yeah, I mean, and I wanted to obviously talk about the police and stuff like that. So it's the writing and all stuff like that. And I get. I mean, looting people's businesses and stuff like that. It's wrong. Oh. It is, but people have had enough. And like there was I was watching another podcast, and the guy said on it. He says it's a physical manifestation of pain and unjust over the last 400 years.
I don't know.
It's people. It's hard to talk about, but it's people looting and stuff like that. Realistically, peaceful protesting, it's all right. Sometimes it gets it done, but if you look back to when Martin Luther King were murdered and the violence and stuff were going on because people, obviously of colour, were rioting for months and months on end, and that made a change to the Civil Rights Act in America. It was only until the point where police officers, people in the street, rioting, that the economy were being burnt up by the people of colour. Then change was enacted, and it might take that now. It shouldn't, and it's horrible to say it might have to, but if people are enough, people are. My people don't want to be sorted in the street anymore, being taken away because of colour. I seen a video of a day of these two police officers coming up to this black guy, sat down, and he's an FBI agent. They didn't know that at the time.
I've seen it.
They come up and arrested him. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah, you see people just pull guns out on people, just literally just for the colour of your skin. It has to stop, you know. And you get a lot of police talking about it, but don't talk about it now because this is happening. Do something.
And I see exactly what you're saying about the peaceful stuff. All cool, but if people are not going like, oh, it's too peaceful, and then the media don't want to get involved with that because it's like whatever. Media want action, man. They want drama. Yeah, but then, put the drama, and I know it might paint people in a bad light, but at the same time, you know, people are listening up, and it's basically causing people everywhere to start this kind of movement. And I think this movement that I have most is like this one now is really, you know, people have started to listen, which is great.
But the last 10 years, we've got recordings, haven't we? You know, mobile phones. We're getting the caption. This stuff has been going on for years, but the difference is we couldn't capture it on.
You can see it now. Yeah.
On video. Now we can. You know,
racism hasn't got worse. It's just been filmed, and people have seen it now.
Yeah, it's not.
And that's
good point.
Back to the FBI agent, and they put handcuffs on him. And he told him to check his ID in his back pocket. And he goes, watch how funny this is. Yeah. They get it out, and they realise, oh shit, he's an FBI agent.
Yeah.
He feels the party's the other guy, and he's like, oh shit. And he goes, I want to see your supervisor. He gets him off, he gets him out of cuffs. And this is the thing that they don't want us to be, is in power. Yeah. Then he goes, you got to be the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. And then obviously supervisor comes over and he wants, I want your and your card. They probably would have got a fight now because he's
that's good. Yeah. You see the other attorney woman as well? It's an old one. When they pulled the black woman over, and she's like an attorney, and then you see him literally. I'll see the video. You see him let their faces just drop.
It's just all narrow-mindedness. There's many examples of that though. You don't even need to see that. I see like I've like a majority of my friends are black, and majority of them are much more intelligent than I am. And I was telling you the story about my friend Lee, who, and it was only recent. Like for instance, Dwaine. We've been friends 24 years. I didn't know that like conversations had between parents and children about the color of your skin, and you having to sort of say to them that you're going to be judged and things like that. I've never seen things that way. I'm
not judging it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is as well, like my background is so multicultural. My dad's Hungarian, so he's got a darker skin anyway. I've got aunties who were married to Pakistanis and stuff like that. I've got so much diversity within my family. I grew up with that, and it's like it's not something that I've known, and there's no racism going about bred down through the family and that kind of thing.
But it's something that it's taught, racism, prejudice, these are the things that are taught. You're not born with that. Kids don't see disability, color, they see the person, they're the things that are taught, you know what I mean? And like you said, parents have to have that, conversation with their kids, you know what I mean? And then you are teaching them about reality, and then you're teaching them about a reality that other people have been brought up, and then you get that, it's that cycle that comes on, and that's where you have to break it. I mean, our little girl Iris, Jordan's sister, she will not look at her age now, will not look at, she doesn't see, color. Yeah, it's friends are friends, I mean, that's it.
And this is what I was getting at. So my friend Lee, it's the thing that he told me actually kind of choked me up a little bit. It was like it's when he told me about it that my mum told me that you're going to be judged on the color of your skin. Now he's not even as dark as you guys. He's mixed race, but you can tell that he's got black in him. His mum is a lighter skinned black woman. But you can still see it in him. You can still see in his features, his hair, stuff like that. And he was told by his mum, look, you're going to be judged by the colour of your skin. There's no doubt about that. This is going to happen. So she said, so what you need to do is that you make sure that when you open your mouth, people listen. And when he said it, I was like, shit, that was some powerful stuff your mum just said there. I was like, that was amazing. You know what I mean? My mum just told me, like, whatever. Just there was nothing at a young age that my mum didn't have to talk to me in that kind of way to empower me to do or be in a certain way. But hearing that was like, shit, that's awesome, but at the same time it's kind of sad. Just had to tell you that. And he's actually my boss. We're very close friends. I'm going to see him tomorrow. He's just had a baby, which is amazing. And like I say, I've not seen him for a couple of weeks, so it's going to be good to sort of pop around and social distance, but still be able to see him and the baby and stuff like that. But he's so intelligent. Like I look up to this guy, man. We've been to meetings where he's just blown people away because of what his mum's told him. When he opens his mouth, people fucking listen, man. It's sad that he has had to do that and had to learn that because he knew that he was going to be.
It's a powerful tool, though. It's a powerful tool.
But it's better than fighting and stuff, right? It's better than having to. Retaliate. Do you know what I mean? Rise above that shit. Because a lot of the people that are racist are fucking narrow-minded anyway and not very intelligent themselves.
That's why they are.
I think the thing is it's not good enough anymore to be not racist. You've got to be anti-racist. If you're not anti-racist, you're part of the problem. And I seen a quote from is a guy on TikTok I've followed. He's about my age, and he put on his Instagram. He said, "Black people are just out here trying not saying just don't kill us," and people are still saying, "But." That's where the problem is. It should be everybody against racists. There should be no but. Just because, like, you can say all lives matter and stuff like that. That defeats the whole point of Black Lives Matter. All lives, do matter. but it's getting the point across to people. They don't understand.
Yeah, that's the best analogy of that was where somebody turned around and said that it was taken from the Bible, and I'm not a religious guy, but it was that I don't know, Jesus had 100 sheep, or whoever it was had 100 sheep. One of them went missing, so they had 99 sheep there, and he chased that one sheep, and the rest of the sheep says, "Don't we matter?" He says, "Of course you matter, but you're all here." You know what I mean? No, that was a good one. Something I like that. You know, people. There's a lot of secret racism as well going on. You know, people like. You know, people like the black culture, people like the food, people like the music, stuff like that, but then they'll still be racist. And it was like one of the posts that I put up the other day, something that I heard, and for me, it was very powerful. And it was, you can't enjoy the rhythm and ignore the blues. You know what I mean? I thought that was amazing. I thought it was just a beautiful way of putting it.
You can't enjoy the culture and forget the people. That's the thing. You can't. And another thing is, everything that everybody's enjoying is really come from black culture.
Like, or just multicultural. You know, we from culture in general. You know, like all cultures. It's
and stuff like that,
but there's so much that we take from other places, but NFL, because let's say if you're Spanish, you know, because there's light skinned Spanish and stuff, and we like their food, but people aren't so racist to that because they haven't got a whiter skin. That's weird.
Yeah.
What is about a black skin? You know, it's such a fucking weird thing that even I can never get my head around it.
It doesn't make sense. I can't. Yeah, but that again, I think we're gonna go back to history of why that is. You know, and it's just still embedded in a few people and a few different organizations and
the thing is now, you know, the police are showing. Like, I know obviously people are looting and stuff like that, but in my opinion, it's just. The people have had enough. They've had enough of being killed in the street, and the police now are just showing exactly. They're just proving exactly everybody's point.
What they are.
In the UK, I seen this guy, this black guy in London. It might have been yesterday or a few days ago. Peaceful protesting. They just grabbed him out of the crowd over the bar, and everybody started like joining in, trying to attack the police. I just seen a few of his friends just jumping in, trying to punch the police because they took him out or a peaceful protest, and instigating violence. And then and sometimes obviously people are rioting and then the police need to step in, stuff needs to be done about it, but when people are peacefully protesting, there's no need to fire tear gas into them. You might, I mean, and I've seen people just walking past in the groceries, in the streets, getting shot with rubber bullets,
and that's what I was saying. It's the case of, you know, you say you're going to get a mixture, aren't you? You know, like they said, people are there to protest. There's a lot of good people there. They just want to hear their voice. But, you know, if they're coming with that heavy-handed, that just causes a reaction. But, you know, you got to look at it, how much, you know.
I suppose, I mean, you know, it's a tough one when people jump in over the top of what they call a peaceful protest and they make it non-peaceful. But at the same time, something, you know, people just got to understand it. There's a lot of shit going on inside. There's just anger.
Of course.
You know, people have.
There's pain.
You know, if it was personal to you, do you know what I mean? Or you lost somebody, or, you know, and like the thing with America, there's a lot of families that would have been affected by over the years of people dying. Do you know what I mean? So we're seeing it from here, being in the UK, but actually, you know, how many people have died? How many family members would that have affected? You know, the knock-on effect that will have. So that's why you've got so many people out there spreading globally. It
brings all them emotions back up.
Of course it does. Yeah, you know what I mean? Even Rodney King's probably people from 20 years ago or whenever it was. They're still upset about it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't end.
It never goes away. That's the thing.
Of course.
That's how... Go on, Karen.
Sorry, did you see John Boyega in London? The black actor from
Star Trek, Star Wars guy.
Yeah. And crying and stuff like that. And I watched the video and it pretty much did make me cry about him speaking about the people, obviously Stephen Lawrence, Mark Duggan, all these people, all these young kids as well. It's not just adults, it's young kids, 16-year-olds being killed in the streets just for no reason.
Yeah,
because of the colour of skin. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's sad, but it's, you know, we're gonna just sort of keep voicing, you know, see what happens.
Yeah, it's disgusting, really. I mean, like I was a bit blind to it all, actually. It's only more recently realizing that, oh shit, there's people that are actually like this. There's people that are this narrow-minded. And these conversations are being had. And I just think that's just because of where I grew up, in my environment. We were just very, very sort of multicultural. I grew up, I was born in Bradford, grew up in Sunny Hill, and then, those areas you'll know very well. Very multicultural, like Normanton, the same kind of where you grew up, Courtney. It's very much like that. So you're not kind of influenced in any way by anything because it's just normal and you grow up in that environment. I don't know how it becomes the way it does, because it's like you said, like kids don't see color. I seen a beautiful video the other day where there's a white baby and there's a black baby, and probably they're only just able to pretty much walk or run, and they're just running towards each other with open arms. Obviously, they ain't seen each other for some time, and just come up and they hug. There's no judgment.
Well, hopefully it'll be that generation that changes it. You know what I mean? And that's maybe just waiting for it to filter out. Hopefully, but we'll
exactly. Yeah,
but again, going back to the video, I didn't watch all of the video.
No. Was it too hard? Or?
Watch it because I've seen them before. I've seen it all, and I just knew it was just going to upset. And I heard about it. I heard the narrate, and I read it, so I knew what was going on. And you know what? Before I'd even watched, I watched half the video, and I had actually had nightmares and dreams about actually me being in that position.
It's fucking horrific, and I tell you why I know as well, because
I know what happened.
I used to do a lot of jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu especially, and I know what it feels like to be in a chokehold. And it's quite easy to put somebody unconscious doing that.
Asphyxiation.
Now, and I talked about this from my cousin on a podcast that I did a few weeks back before this stuff happened, and he literally said, and one of the things he was saying is like, when you get somebody in that position, when you've got it's basically like saying, I've killed you. I can kill you from this position. But it's not just putting him to sleep, it's keeping him in that position post putting him to sleep. Because you're stopping the oxygen from getting to the brain. The fucking guy knows this. Like these police officers.
And even if trained come off him, he would have been brain damaged anyway. You know what I mean? People are telling him he can't breathe. He's saying it. People are saying he's dying, and then they carry on. So for me, I see that as first-degree murder, not second-degree. Which they've been charged for. So even then, there's injustice within the justice. If that was a black person or an Asian or just anybody in the street that would have done it, to get the police thing, what would have happened? That's the sentences that they would have got. Life, death penalty, whatever, but you get second degree for that, it's...
Yeah, I mean, it is a very tough...
Yeah, it's like you're giving them a blind because they're a police officer and they're allowed to... No one is allowed to kill anybody, like that on the street. There's no reason.
Like, a cat or anything. You know what I mean? Like, a human life is is the most, I suppose, highly regarded life on this planet, right?
Yeah. That man should be at home now.
You won't do that to a fucking cat.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's horrific. Yeah. When again, got upsetting me.
It's like, you don't know what it could have achieved. Like, it could have got up the next day, being enlightened, and gone and done something for the world that changed everybody's perspective and stuff. I mean, like John Bacon said, you don't know what he could have achieved.
Well, he's achieved a lot. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's the wrong reason and it's not the right way, but he has achieved a lot through his passing. Obviously, we wouldn't want that, but you see the movement that he's actually created, and I think his name will live on. Obviously, that's not what we wanted. Obviously, his family would have wanted him to be there. Yeah, but it's.
But it was always going to be something. It was always going to take something, and this was the thing. At some point, if this was going to carry on, it was going to take something. So. As obviously it's not what the family would have wanted, it's not what he would have wanted, but at some point this was going to have to come.
It would have been somebody else.
It was going to have to come to this.
It would have been another black man, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? And there will be more. This is not the end. This will be, next time we do a podcast, we could potentially have one or two more people
But I'm just saying that it would have had to get to a breaking point.
Oh yeah,
because whoever it was going to be for this, for people to fucking listen up and try and you've got to make the change. And I know I've signed petitions and everything now that people have been sending around. There's more and more people, and the more press it gets, I suppose, the better. Not the negative side of it, with the people looting and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. And do you know what? Some people might be just taking the piss out of the situation, but at the same time, it's still getting media, right? It's on people's minds. They understand where this all started, where it came from.
I understand the burning police cars and burning the police headquarters, because that is fair. That's just, they have been harassed, beaten up, and
but the shops, the looting and stuff.
Looting and taking advantage of the situation is wrong. That's not unjust. I mean, if people's livelihood and they're burning the police cars and attacking the police, that's fair enough, because that's exactly what they've done to us for the last.
I know, but at the same time, it's a tough one again, because not all police are bad.
Exactly.
That's the point.
And it's a hard one, but something's got to change. And I think that just it's one of them that's it's at least making people listen up. There's enough stuff going around there now to look. At the end of the day, make an example of these policemen, right? Yeah. Because other people are going to see that and go, "Oh shit." You're got to make them think twice about being, this brutality. They've got to be punished. Justice has to be served in that way. That's the way I see it.
The governor wouldn't prosecute him. They actually had to get the state guy to come in to prosecute. He didn't have the guts to prosecute the police for what they did. He couldn't see that as being wrong. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And the worst thing is,
that's the judge. That's the problem right there.
He'd
rather lose his job or not. Sorry, Jordan. He'll rather lose his job than actually prosecute 3 police officers for killing somebody.
Yeah, and I seen somebody say the other day. Obviously, with second-degree murder, there needs to be evidence there. Obviously, there is evidence there with the video, but they take a blind eye, don't they? Some judges take a blind eye to it, and people said if he doesn't get prosecuted for at least second-degree murder, the writing and the looting is just, it's people playing a part compared to what's going to happen.
What they can do as well, the police obviously in America, they're very corrupt as well. I mean, going away from the black thing, I think there's a Darcy case where they just wanted to plant, they were planting all different types of stuff on this guy. So what they can do is try and tarnish their names and things like that to make it just what they did. But we all know it's a load of bull, innit, at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and, I forgot what I'm going to say. Carry on, sorry, I forgot what I was
going to say. Without going too far, of course, and talking about, corrupt police and this, that, and the other. There's a lot of things in there, but obviously the key point here is that something has to be done. We all have to, we all have to stand, and we all have to be united in this thing.
Yeah.
It's not about race. We're human beings. Yeah, skin color means nothing.
Yeah.
As I said, most of the black people that I know are the best people that I know, honestly.
Because us lot.
And talented people, intelligent people. And we was talking about it before this podcast. We was giving some amazing examples of things that have happened and then have been taken away, and have been a white person taking credit for a black person's work and things like that. But without going through all of that, because it's never ended, we're going down a rabbit hole with it. I think it's just important that these voices are being heard. It's important that these police are being arrested and justice is being served, made an example of, so that going forward this shit can't happen again. Like, other police officers have to look and go, shit, they should know. They should know it's wrong. But one thing that, and funny enough, it's totally unrelated, but I seen something last night and it made me think, like, because you can't just at the same time turn, like, that was one cop, and I know there's other cops out there. They're the same. The racism's going on, and it's not just cops; it's other people as well. But what you can't do is just turn on a whole race, because they're individuals. They're fucking stupid individuals.
Yeah.
I seen something last night which was nice, where a white cop noticed that a car had its hazards on, and he spun around real quick, and the woman pulled over, and it was a black woman, and her black baby couldn't breathe. It had an allergic reaction to something, and this white cop resuscitated, like he tried his hardest to get this baby breathing. He just couldn't do anything for it. He was like pressing a little bit harder on the chest compressions to finally get a bit of breath out. But he was like, at some point, he was like, I can't do any more, and it's going to take too long for the ambulance to get here. So he literally got the baby in his arms. He drove to the hospital with the lights on and everything, got it to the hospital, saved this kid's life. And then you could see, like, after that, he's paying visits to this kid. And I think, you know, at the time, the kid was probably younger than 1 year old. Well, probably a 6-month-old or something like that. You could tell by the size of the baby that he wouldn't be able to walk.
Yeah.
But anyway, so one of the last pictures it showed you, this kid was probably like 5 years old, and is there with this cop, and they kept this relationship, you know. And it's beautiful to see amidst all this stuff, because, you know, we do need to remember that it's not conflict, it's not black versus white.
Yeah, it's people, it's everybody against racism. That's what it is.
Exactly.
And back to the point, obviously, you're saying that video, obviously that cop. I was seeing another video of this. It's obviously this white cop and this black guy. He come up to her. He was like, "Hi, sir, you're right." I shook his hand, and he said, "Do you remember me?" And he was like, "No, mate." And he said, "It was like 20 years ago. He saved when he was 4 years old. He saved him from drowning." And then he was like, give him a hug and started crying and stuff like that. And it's a light in the dark. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's one of those times. It's something that, you know, it's hopefully a turning point. That's what I do hope.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think at that point there was, because we've done over an hour now, guys. So I was thinking about wrapping up on that. You know, let's everybody against racism. I think you put it best there. It's not black versus white. It's nothing like that. It is literally everybody against racism. And pulling together, and hopefully this time especially, things can make a change. And you know what, George Floyd, rest in peace. Hopefully this is the turning point, and he's done something amazing in a way that he didn't even know that he would do. And maybe his family could take some peace from that at least.
Yeah.
So yeah. Courtney, you kind of missed a bit there. I don't know where you skipped off to, but
some technical issues going on, but no, it's all good. No, you just went a bit buzzy, but no, we're back on now.
Okay. Well, I was literally wrapping up, man. I was just saying that I just like the way Jordan finished it off there. I think it was a nice way of finishing that. That it's everybody against racism. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got to stand up. You know, put our foot down, let our voices be heard. You know, got to fight the powers that be.
Yeah.
You know, communicate, get together, support each other. You know, that's all we can do. You know, and just show the love. You know, that's what it's all about. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. You know, we communicate, show love, and, you know, respect each other, and that's what it's about. I mean, that's how we've been brought up anyway.
Yeah.
We've known each other a long time, Rich, as well. So you know where our values come from. You know, embedded into the church and so on. And, you know, I've been trying to embed these values into Jordan, which I think you can see.
Yeah, man, he's a good kid.
He's rolling already, you know, at his young age. You know, he's got his opinion, is well spoken, and yeah, that's very proud of the lad. So yeah, all good.
Nice. And you know, I suppose it's a good idea to just pick up on the fact that you've got a business as well. I know I was going to wrap it up there, but I just wanted to be able to get that shout out in there for you guys, because I know, Courtney, obviously you're doing very well. You've got your own business, and you've actually took Jordan on as your marketing and digital media director, if you like. I don't know what.
Yeah,
director. Yeah, so you know, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing, you know, because he's young and he proved it in the fact that when he cut off, he was back on in 10 seconds, where it took you 3 minutes.
I need him here with me, don't I?
Yeah.
It's a nice relationship, though. It's good to have your son there with you. So
I'm surprised I'm even on it, mate. You're lucky.
We usually have to wait 10 minutes for him to get.
No. I'm getting old now. I could have fell asleep halfway through this. But yeah, I mean, if we do a part 2, we'll go a bit more about the business.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we want to help the social care.
We'll pick up. I know Dwayne's missed out tonight, and I know he's really wanted to come on. So we'll pick up on that. I just thought it was a really important thing that it might have kind of took over the podcast and took away from some of the other stuff we could talk about. But at this moment in time, I thought, it's something that it would be stupid of me to just ignore.
It's very conscious on that. We'll talk about face masks next time and gloves and PPE. Yeah. Where you can get good quality training from.
Hopefully not, though. Hopefully not. Hopefully we can do this in person. So.
Well, there's that. Well, we see the setup in it. We could do it at a park.
All right, guys. Listen, that's it. Thanks for joining me, man. It's been fun.
I've really enjoyed it. First time I've done something like this, and it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
All right, guys.
It's been a good experience and a good confidence booster for me. Obviously, trying to do my own stuff, so. Thank you very much, Rich.
Good luck with your career, man.
Yeah, what about your YouTube channel and stuff? On there. All right.
I tell you what, Jay. Pass me your social media details, and I'll put it up on the bio anyway.
Okay. I'll pass it you after.
Yeah.
Check out his YouTube channel and all that.
Yeah. Therefore, we'll put all that up. All right. Thanks for joining me today, lads.
Nice seeing you, Rich.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.